Hello, welcome to Fluorine Models Kit Review Time. Today we've got Eduard's latest release. This is the 1/48 scale Fw190 A-5, but this is the Profi Pack edition. Okay, so we get those nice little touches in this particular kit. So if we have a quick round around the box, you see, usual thing with Eduard, they don't have to do this lovely, beautiful box art down on there, very old school. Okay, some classic markings down in there with the actual A5. Some of the ones that we've probably seen and a few perhaps you haven't seen before, but again, very nice indeed. Kit number for this one is 82143, you can see it just around there. And then we just got a little bit more down on that side as well. So in the box, we can get it out. There we go. Just hop that out there, stick that down there. That's going to stay. There we go. Okay, so the Profi packs tend to have just a little bit of photo etch in there, and your decals and your mask set, really everything you could sort of need with your kit, which is the nice thing about them. So it's sort of a one-stop type kit. So usual thing, we've got an intro down into it, obviously all about the aircraft, the weaponry, everything as you might imagine down in there. Again, because it is a modular type aircraft, we've seen lots of different versions of this one. Okay, so again, take no notice of the greyed out bits, you're not going to be using those. So obviously some of those down on there, but as we can see, we do get a nice little bit of colour photo etch. Obviously the mask set, things like that down in there, and then working our way through. So it's going to be a case of removing some parts and obviously adding the photo etch, as you can see down in here. So just keeping an eye on the instructions, knowing where you're going, and perhaps pre-marking some of the things you need to take off to replace it with the photo etch parts. But usual thing, instrument panel, side consoles, stuff like that down in there. We have got the actual belts as well for the harnesses being fitted down onto that one, so those go in as well, and we've got some rudder pedals as well being fitted down in there to make up your cockpit tub. Then we're straight over to the actual sidewall. Again, various items going down in there. Second part of that instrument panel, the top part being fitted in. We've got a one-piece sort of show engine to show the radial engine down in that one. All the subformers going inside and then obviously being fitted together. And then a few parts going down inside the cockpit walls and down the backs, things like that on there. And then obviously going in with the wheel wells, fitting some of the strengths in there. We do have a beautiful spar running across the actual section behind the actual wheel well itself, and then gives you the detail coming through the inside, the gun ports, things like that, and then all the formers and the actual tops of the wheel wells being fitted down into there like that, and then tops of the wings going through, as you might imagine. Okay, moving on then, obviously that entire wing section comes up to the fuselage, and then we've got the cowls and covers and coamings being fitted down onto the top. Control surfaces all being fit in there, so obviously we've got the rudder, we've actually got then the tail planes, and we've got the ailerons fitted down in there, and then on the front here we can see the actual ring, first parts of the ring system down onto the engine. Gear, as you might imagine, being fitted down in there as well, and then obviously the activators, things like that for those, all being fitted in there just like that. We've got a little step down in there, and a couple of aerials, things like that, depending on which version you're actually doing. Okay, prop, that cooler radiator intake going down into the front, canopy undersides being put in there, canopy going on, and then the prop parts being fitted in. And then we've got the mask diagram, great help showing you exactly how the mask set's all going to roll. Okay, and then we've got the bomb being fitted to the underside. And there we go, we're in there. Great markings, as we can see down in here. So we've got a French Area 1, May 1943. And then we've got one from the Soviet Union Theatre, summer 1943. And then we've got a Netherlands one, again with that very nice lighter camo from April 1943. And then so on and so forth. So we got one from France, April 1943, and Poland as well, January 1943 as well, down in there. Some beautiful markings. And then, as imagine, usual stencil data down there on the back. So again, really very nicely done. So if we have a quick look at these parts, we've actually got just down in here, we've got the actual instrument panel and all the details, the harnesses. As you can see, it's all pre-painted, pre-coloured, going to save you a lot of time messing around with all of those. And we've even got the antenna for the underside as well down there on line, so that's a very nice touch. Your mask set, obviously it's not massive, we just got one for the wheels and for the canopy, but that'll save you a lovely bit of time on there as well. We won't worry about getting these out because they are very, very nice indeed, but as you can see, we do have the actual decals, no problems with those at all, very nicely done. We always know they're going to be done to a very high standard. Okay, so down into the parts. If we start with the fuselage, and then with the get in, got a slinky thing in the bag, that's a bit of manage. Okay, so fuselage halves, as you can see, Looking very, very nicely. What we really have come to expect with Eduard is some of the finest recessed details on here, not only for the actual panel lining, but the riveting these days is completely too, as you can probably see down in here, another level. Beautifully done. You can see that gorgeous detail right the way through. And when you're in these smaller scales, like, you know, obviously 48th, it really has to be spot on. It does look to be very, very in tune. Got a little bit of detail just down in that side here as well, but you can see a beautifully tooled interior to all of this one, ready for accepting those parts. So again, that's really very nice indeed. Okay, wing section, as you can imagine, we've got some beautiful details coming through on these, very, very nicely done. And this is what we're talking about, this tooling that you can actually see is absolutely fantastic, very fine, totally in scale, and to my eye at least. You can see those access panels, the sort of gun blisters, things like that underneath. Very, very nicely done. And just these tops of the wings as well, that gorgeous riveting detail is absolutely beautifully done. A lot finer. And again, obviously completely devoid of detail on the inside, but you can just tell by the tooling how well that's been tooled out. And again, for the main wing spars, things like that, as you can see, very, very nicely done indeed. Okay, we've got a second bag, which is the more universal bag, because obviously that gives you the A5 wing set, and with the A5's fuselage. We'll look at those afterwards. So looking around some of these, as you can see, as you said, it's very much a modular kit, this one, different versions. So we've got different wheel wells down in here. We've got different ventilation blades at the front here as well. So just keep an eye on which ones you're doing. Perhaps you cross off, mark off, get rid of whichever ones you're not going to be using as you make your way through on these ones. But if we have a quick run round, as we can see, we do have a beautiful cockpit. Very, very nicely done. And then we just move along here. You can see the beautiful details in these. There's a little tiny bit of flash, but nothing's actually on any parts that we've sort of come to know and do. So we've got another cockpit down on here. And again, this is that wheel well section and all those various things down in there. And then say flip it over, you can see that great detail and the very small fine differences between the types as well. So again, really very nice. And the different props. So you've got that huge big prop and the little slinky one. All right, so again, really nice indeed. Okay, as you can see, again, beautifully done, very nicely laid out, a little bit crisp. Okay, looking at some of those parts of the blisters, but looking around here on the close-up, you can see the actual combings over the top, very nicely done on those. Wheel wells, ailerons, rudders, drop tanks, perhaps some for your spares department, again, other parts, and then the bombs. All the control surface, again, very fine details on all of these. Very nicely done indeed. No sign of ejector pin marks or anything that's going to get in the way, so that's really very nice indeed. Nothing down in the wheel wells or actually on the doors, okay, that's going to get in there. Okay, last up we've got this one. So again, multiples down in here, different types. So we've got night fighter things going down in here and everything else. So you're just going to be picking the ones you want, but generally, again, you can see really very nice details, very thin sprue gates, separate hubs for the tires, things like that. Very, very nice indeed on all of those. Okay, last up we have the clear parts. Nice little separate zip bag just down here like that. Okay, so we've got different canopies, various things going down in here, as you might imagine, and again, you've got all the different ones, and actually not too bad at all. Very clean, crisp, clear, no problems with those whatsoever on any of those clear parts. Can't see any distortions, any problems whatsoever. They are very nicely done. And there we go. We have to say, and I have to admit it, these are the sort of, you know, go-to 190s. If you're going to be doing a 190 and 148 scale, or even a Spitfire and 148 scale, I would always lean towards doing the Profi Pack Eduard kits. The level of detail is absolutely on another level to anyone else's that is out there, especially when you put it up against other kits like Airfix and other manufacturers. Their riveting seems to be a little bit hit and miss. Some of their detail, some of their panel lining especially tends to be a little bit all over the place. Eduard, though, nailed it down. They've got it correct. They've seemed to have it all in scale and they know exactly what they're doing with it. And then they're just adapting the kits for obviously different versions, like we've got down here, the A5 version of the 190. But obviously, you know, it's one of those things, you can pick the ones you want to do, and it gives you so many different options throughout building the entire of the kit. So there we go, that is another fantastic kit from Eduard. It is the Fw148 scale, Fw190 A-5 Light Fighter.